That right there is a float wheel. I'm an avid one-wheeler. First time ever riding a float wheel. Let's get it started. If you just got a one-wheel, you need to do this with your friends.
Look at my friend helping me.
We are doing a pre-setup to a ride of the float wheel because it is -6 degrees here in Minnesota, so no one wants to freeze. Good friend Jacob here, been here all night actually, because we had to steam out some frozen pipes. This is a story that we don't need to bore you with, but he thought in his short amount of time to get ready to come to here by 3 a.m. in the morning to bring his float wheel. We have a float wheel in studio today. Which one is this? For everyone watching, because
this is just the standard float wheel. It's the lightest one that they offer with the smaller battery package, so it don't have the high output battery.
Power button's right here. It lights up, which is pretty slick. And then you have a light bar that is extremely bigger than the light bar on a GT. The foot pads do feel different than the concave, all the foot pads of Onewheel'S.
I'm really happy with the grit, the concave. The pads themselves are super thick. It's a totally different thickness and feel than any of the other ones I've been on.
One of the unique things to a float wheel is that you have choices of height in where the rails sit. So you can be high one setting, lower, or standard middle. And because of the snow, going up to the highest level is allowing him to ride in more snowy conditions. So it's all inside in here. You can't see it.
You can kind of see down in here the adjuster right here. You pull that out and the block out.
There you go. So now we're all suited up. Before we start breaking a sweat, let's get outside, mob this thing. Welcome to the debut of my feet touching a float wheel for the first time. I've always wanted to ride it, see if it mobs. It is running a software called Vesk. And really, that is what makes all the difference in the float wheel. Is your settings, your personalized settings to your style, to the terrain you're riding, and things of that nature. The power of Vesk is you don't like it, you can figure out where you need to go into the settings and change it, which is very advantageous to having a customizable ride to everyone's preferences, because after all, we all ride and mob very differently. This is in the highest setting on the rails, so you can adjust that to, again, your preferences. Highest setting right now for mobbing in snowy conditions, because when you get 3-4 inches of snow that's not groomed, it's going to be hard to ride over that. So that setting is very nice to have. The overall very first impression is when you step on the float wheel, you know you're not on a one wheel. Good, bad, and indifference, it's different from the foot pad to the tire. First thoughts of a slow ride in through it rides pretty nice. I mean, the stock tire is pretty grippy. It's got a lot of power coming downhill. This feels really nice. Whose setting are we riding on? So we're on the Nico tunage, but modified to his kind of preferences. But it's pushing the nose up on me. That's all customizable. Anything you don't like in a Vesk, you just tweak it. Go in and say, I want the nose less, or whatever you want. The reason he has the nose up is to fight the nose dive, if you will, as he's on a GT with 5-inch hub wet compound Vega tire, and it's just not handling the icy conditions of -6 degrees, feels like -24. This tire is a softer compound and is handling it quite well. I was very impressed with the overall performance of the tire. As you can see the nose coming up there. As you're going down the hill, it's keeping you from having your nose dig into the bottom. I don't care for that setting. I'd rather be able to tweak it in my style of riding. I think sometimes the Vesk settings, my opinion, can short circuit your learning ability on how to get the most out of your board by you as a rider, whereas the board now is powering against me pushing it forward. You still can get it to nosedive, however, as you've already seen that a couple different times. Here's the question for everybody watching. I'm riding a float wheel, and I said I was going to ride my one wheel every day in the new year. Would this count? I think it would not. No, it wouldn't. Let me answer the question, because it's a float wheel. It's not a one wheel. It definitely doesn't ride like a one wheel. That's not bad. Some would say, well, are you saying it's horrible because of the ride? No, It's just a unique ride. My front foot at this point is starting to have foot fatigue because it's such a different ride. Everybody just see that where I just turned and the board kept going? There's some things that you're doing in riding that you go, that's different. That feeling right there is different. I know that's a setting. Very noticeable to go into a turn and be on the sidewall of the float wheel and it to bite. That was cool. I was blown away by that sensation of coming into a turn and being able to turn it and it just powers through it. Yep, I like that feature. And I'm sure in the GTS, there's a setting to mess with that. It's his tunage. Nico, great job on your settings in the Vesk app. That's pretty sweet. Just to be able to have that tuning, man, I could see that in trails being awesome. For sure, in trails that would be spectacular, sublime, if you will, because it would keep you from falling off your board. It just was a unique ride. I mean, that's what I've noticed outside of my feet and just the overall comfortability on the board is the tunage on the Vesk. It does make you want to go try all kinds of different tunes out there where you can just download and upload onto the float wheel. It makes that a lot of fun and unique. I think the danger is as you tweak more and more settings, because you can geek out on it, the more and more you can get lost in it and go, what did I just do? How do I get it back to what I just had? And I don't know enough about Vesk to speak to that, on how do you get back to that? How do you overcome that? I just know that my first ride experience, I was smiling through. It was powering through the terrain that it was presented with. Now, understand this, and this is not necessarily a comparison, but just so I could see, this outshined the GT. Okay, this just has a lot more power. But when we got the GTS out, they're neck and neck. Obviously the ride, the feel was different, but they were neck and neck, and they were doing everything that each other could do. There were no hills that the GTS series couldn't climb, that the float wheel could climb. It was just, you saw it. There are some tweaks in the Onewheel GTS that I do prefer because of my comfortability and those things. But it's not, the versatility of the Vesk software right now, it has a higher ceiling. And that's not to be said that Onewheel won't release something else. They've already shown that they're adding customization to the GTs and GTSs in the latest software. So they're on that road, and I have high expectations that they're going to continue to release updates. Going to give us more creativity and flexibility in their Onewheel. So I don't feel slighted, and I don't feel let down. I really have high hopes of seeing where Onewheel will take it. Okay, I better give it back to the owner. This is a lot of fun. He is slipping out all over the place. I've not slipped out once. I do think that's the settings in Vesk. That setting really does well in the snowy conditions. I'm impressed, Jacob. Here, you can have it back. I'll let you ride. Thank you, Jacob, for letting me ride it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for fixing the pipes over there as well. He's a good human.
Anytime.
Don't
Glad we could get everything working again.
Yeah, we got it working. Thanks for the float wheel ride. Everyone else, have a great day. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a podcast every Wednesday. You don't want to miss that. We talk about whatever's the latest thing in the community of Onewheel and the float wheel stuff. He's always in the chat a lot of times, sometimes during or after.
Sometimes both.
Both. So everybody, have a great day. We'll see you later.
Get outside.
Do something. Yeah, come on. It's -6, feels like -20 something, and we're mobbing, and we haven't had that much sleep. So if we can do it, so can you.
Too.
That's right.